hypothesis. I'll share my PPT. We'll start with it. Can you all see my PPT? आप लोगों को मेरी PPT नजर आ रही है?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, wait a minute. We'll start with first thing is hypothesis. Because हर रिसर्च का चाहे वो आप PhD का रिसर्च कर रहे हो, चाहे वो आप रिसर्च पेपर लिख रहे हो किसी भी जर्नल में, या छोटा मोटा रिसर्च. अभी nowadays I'm just doing a research on investment and I'm writing a research paper. I'm really collecting a data. I'm on the research on income and expenditure pattern of household made. So what are their income pattern, what are their expenditure pattern, and what are their saving avenues, whether they save or they don't save, and what are the factors which influences their saving, whether the need or their income or the gender. So I'm doing this research. So हर research का सबसे important जो base होता है वो होता है आपका hypothesis, जो हम frame करते हैं हमारे objectives पे, जो हमारे objectives होते हैं. तो for example, if we have 2-3 objectives for our research, and for the first objective, say for example, I'm doing a research on saving pattern of housemates. So my objective is to study the saving pattern. So first I will start the demographic study, that what are the categories, what are the ages, and gender, and different religion, then community. So these are different things I'm going to, these are called demographic study. And based on these objective, I will frame a hypothesis. And once I'll frame a hypothesis, I'm going to frame my questions, which are called questionnaire. और वो questionnaire को मुझे इस तरीके से frame करना होगा कि I will able to test the hypothesis. There are few key terms which we should know in testing of hypothesis. A few key terms we should know when we are framing a hypothesis. ये key term है जो हमको बहुत अच्छे से मालूम होना चाहिए whenever we are doing hypothesis testing. Okay. दो तरह का रिसर्च होता है, क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च होता है, क्वांटिटेटिव रिसर्च होता है. मोस्टली क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च को भी एनालाइज करने के लिए हमें उसे क्वांटिटेटिव में ही कन्वर्ट करना पड़ता है ताकि हम उसे स्टडी कर पाए. बिकॉज अनलेस एंड अनटिल वी विल नॉट गिव नंबर्स, अनलेस एंड अनटिल वी विल नॉट क्वांटिफाई, वी विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू द प्रॉपर एनालिसिस. सो क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च को भी हमें पहले क्वांटिटेटिव नंबर्स को देकर के, उसे आर्बिट्ररी नंबर्स देकर के उसे हमें फ्रेम करना पड़ता है, एंड देन ओनली वी कैन गो अहेड विद द रिसर्च. सो दीज आर द few key terms which we should know when we are doing a hypothesis testing. The first key term is null hypothesis. Now, what do you mean by null hypothesis? How we frame this? Anybody, how we frame this? जैसे कि हम कोई भी जनरल आप रिसर्च ले लो, कोई भी जनरल, जहां पर भी आप बैठे हो वहां पर भी कुछ भी आपको देखकर कैसा लगता है कि हाँ इस पे भी रिसर्च किया जा सकता है, उसका मुझे null hypothesis बताओ. How you will frame null hypothesis? Anybody?
If you are having an idea if something is working, and if it is not working after doing all the research, all the analysis, then it comes under null hypothesis.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Little bit technical.
Ma'am, we'll take up our, we'll actually have a research question in our mind.
Yeah.
And then whatever research question, for example, if at all we are studying the impact of teaching methodology on students' performance, then we will start with there is no impact of teaching pedagogy on the students' performance. We just start with it, and then we'll prove it.
During this one now, all the days हम लोग ने photo निकाला था.
हाँ, वो भी भेज सकते हैं.
जो है अपने पास group.
Yeah, others are requested to mute. Otherwise, ma'am, you can mute them.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, you can mute. You have right. You can mute them if they, by mistake, if they are unmuted, you can mute them. Thank you. And ma'am, possibly use English because I think many are from other states as well.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, because some don't understand Hindi from Tamil Nadu, they told me.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I thought that we have a different variation, so
Yeah.
combination will do better. So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll take the research question, and then the relationship between the dependent and independent variable, we'll say that there is no significant impact, and then we'll start and we will do it, ma'am.
Yes. So whatever we want or whatever is our assumption, we start with that and we say that whether we can say that either there is a no effect or this particular thing, like for example, if we say that a company is claiming that in their organization the average salary is 50,000. We start with average, we start with mean, and we say that the mean salary of all the employee in a company X is 50,000. So the moment we frame a null hypothesis, this is what the companies claim. This is what the companies claim, that yes, in our organization, the average mean salary of all the employee working is 50,000. So what will be my alternative hypothesis? What will be my alternative hypothesis? That the mean salary is not 50,000. Because this is what it can be either. Okay. So the moment I say that the mean salary will not be 50,000, it means that it can be more than 50,000, it can be less than 50,000. So therefore, we have various types of two-tail test, one-tail test that we will do in detail in later slides. So we start with this only. We start with the first assumption that yes, like for example, teacher is claiming that the average score, like for example, I have used all these example in my PPT, so I will elaborate this example further. But to clear the concept, these are the basic concept, and understanding the basic concept is very important. So teacher is claiming that the average score, this final exam, the average score of the student in my paper will be around 70. So this is a claim. The teachers claim, the companies claim, the fitness trainer claim. If you are doing a research on the government claim, that the government claim that at this time, whatever investment in infrastructure will be done, there will be positive cost benefit analysis. Claim say we want to understand the hypothesis. Please,
Mr. Krishnendu,
yeah, I've muted him, sir.
please mute them.
Yeah, I've muted them.
They have to be alert actually.
Yeah. So then that becomes our null hypothesis. And our alternative hypothesis is like, no, the claim which is made by the company is not, definitely it's not. It can be either more or it can be either less. The claim of a teacher is not proper. It can be either more or it can be either less. The claim of a government is not right. It can be cost benefit analysis. Sometimes it become a qualitative studies. So it can be a positive cost benefit analysis. It can be negative. So like that, when we talk about opposite, that becomes our alternative hypothesis. Now, then we have the first step is this, to frame our null hypothesis, because unless and until we will not frame our hypothesis, we will not frame our assumption. So that assumption is hypothesis. So unless and until we will not be able to frame our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. If we will not be able to frame our null hypothesis and alternative, we will not be able to come across our we will not be able to frame our questionnaire. We will not be able to decide how we are going to test that assumption, whatever we have assumed in our research, whatever assumption we have done, how we have, whether that claim is proper, whether that assumption is proper. So the first step is to come up with this, that what is our assumption? Based on that assumption, what is our null hypothesis? Then what will be our alternative hypothesis? Now, these null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, generally, if it is not mentioned, to be on a safer side, we take 0.05% of level of significance. 0.05 level of significance, that is 5% of level of significance, means 95% confidence interval. Means I am 95% confidence that my null hypothesis is correct. If we accept our null hypothesis. Normally, generally, we do it at 0.05. There are other level of significance as well. So it can be 95, it can be 99%, or it can be 99.99%. So these are the three level of significance, means we are confidence, 95% confidence, we are 99% confidence, and we are 99.99% confidence. This 99.99 confidence may value, you get a very narrow value. So most of the majority of the time what happen, because of error, we have to reject our null hypothesis. So it's always better to test our hypothesis at 0.05%. How much confidence we are about, how much authentic our data is, that is also very important. If we have a large samples, so it is always, we prefer 0.05, because 95% confidence is considered to be fair enough and it is accepted. So how much we are confident. So for small samples, still you can talk 99 point. For example, if you are conducting a survey only on 10 students in the class, and you are studying their marks after exam, and you are just testing the assumption, you are testing the hypothesis of the teacher's claim that the average score will be 70%. This is a very small sample. So in small sample, you have a direct data. There is no issues on the data. Also, data will also not be, you will have a very authentic data. So then in that case, you can always use 99.9%, 99%, 99.9% or 0.001 level of significance. Next is our decisions. When we take decision whether to accept the hypothesis or to reject the hypothesis based on our p-value. This p-value, and I think so, how to calculate, if we'll have time, then definitely I'll show you. And I assume that, I am assuming that you all know that how to get the p-value from z-score and from t-table and from statistical table. Nowadays, all of us use softwares. So this session is to understand, even though we are using, no doubt, even today, earlier we used to do all manually, but now because of so many good software available, definitely it is not recommendation to do all these calculation manually. So it is all, but we should know what is our researches. We should know what we are assuming, which we should know what is our hypothesis. We should know from where we have derived this hypothesis, how this hypothesis has come. We should know what we are talking about. We should know what is our null hypothesis. That's the reason I asked Rajesh sir that, sir, what do you want, that I should go in a very technical term, or sir said that no, it should be very general, so that because definitely for technicality now today, in AI world, in technology-driven world, I think so, all of us use technology and get the result. We just have to feed the data. But first thing is, we should know what to collect. What should be our data set? What are the questionnaire? How we'll get the questions? What are we doing? What is the assumption? What hypothesis? Because whenever we sit for even PhD interview or for Viva, major drilling take place on this data analysis, major drilling, data analysis. So definitely, so the basic concept and knowledge of all these things is very important. So therefore, so p-value is very important to understand. This p-value is known as probability. It's a probability value. So whatever p-value you get, based on this, I'm going to elaborate this with the help of example, because when we use example, we understand better. So whatever value we get, whatever p-value from the table we get, the calculation will give us a t-value, the calculation will give us a value, the calculation will give us a z-score. With the help of all this score, we get a p-value from the table. With the help of p-value, we see whether we are going to reject our null hypothesis or we are going to accept our hypothesis. Like for example, if our p-value is less than alpha, that is 0.05. So definitely we are going to reject our null hypothesis. So whatever we have assumed, like for example, I have assumed, company has claimed, government has claimed, or corporate has claimed, or I thought that let me do the research on this and find out whether is this true. So I have started with some assumption. So whatever I have assumed will be my null hypothesis. So I am going to reject my null. So it is not. I've seen many students who they get, oh, my null hypothesis. For most of my question, my null hypothesis is getting rejected. There is a possibility. We may have thought something. We may have analyzed something. There's some thought processes gone into it, or the previous experiences, or the previous literature review. Because the research always start with literature review. Always remember, whenever you want to, even if you want to write a small research paper also, first do the literature review. Not because you should copy from what, no. When you do the research and literature review, the brainstorming starts and your thought process start working. And then you also get many ideas. So you start thinking different way. So it is not necessarily what the earlier person has done in the related or the topic which you are doing, you're going to, no, it is something you can question also. Research is just questioning. So it is very important. So with literature review also something has happened and something has been proved. Like for example, I'll tell you very interesting concept. When we talk about dropout rates in school, what is general analysis? What is your perception? You will find boys drop out more or girls drop out more. I'm asking the participant. Like for example, if we are doing a research on dropouts. Okay, so what you will find, girls drop out more in school. In school, I'm not talking about college. In school, or you will find boys drop out more. Yes, anybody? What do you think?
Girls,
Starting with assumption. Let's start with null hypothesis. Yes, ma'am.
girls maybe more because of there are so many circumstances, family or money, financially you can say, or their interest, or the environment they are in.
Yeah, environment they are in, or we have studied, we have read in so many articles, and as I'm from economics department, so in so many thing when we have so many articles when we have studied related to economics, there we have studied that parents consider boys as an asset and girls as a liability. So definitely investing, they feel that investing on asset will give them better return. So this is general perception, right? We have read this and this perception has not changed. But let me give you a very strange analysis in a particular area. There is one slum in Mumbai. There the data was collected, the study was conducted, and it was a slum area, and there were only 2 municipal schools nearby. And in that slum area, when the data was collected, for very strange, the result was that the boys dropout was more than girls dropout. Now, research never stops here, that you stop here, fine, you are. Now, research means when you have rejected your null hypothesis, it is not your research went wrong. Because definitely when we are doing research on dropout, the things will be, oh yes, the girls dropout will be more. This will be our hypothesis, and our hypothesis will be other way. So definitely it doesn't mean that after collecting a data, the result which you have get after testing the hypothesis, we have rejected the null hypothesis and accepted the alternative hypothesis that boys dropout rate is more than girls dropout rates. So this is one study which took place on empirical data, on a primary data, where the boys drop out, and as I've told you, the research never stops there. The once you get the result, always when you write also analysis, always remember when you're writing an analysis, never ever stop there. Fine, rejected null hypothesis. I've seen one research paper on a particular topic. Rejected null hypothesis, accepted. No, when you're rejecting null hypothesis, what is the analysis? Like for example, here in this research, if we say that we're rejecting a null hypothesis that the girls dropout will be less than the boys dropout. So then what is the reason? You have to find out that as well. So your questionnaire should follow that. Your questionnaire should follow that. And as I'm telling you, I have read that entire article. The reason was, see, the other factor which influences when we talk about the relationship among various variables. So where this come under linear regression. When we have various variable, the dependent variable is dropout, and there are various factor which affects these dropouts. So there are various factors. So one factor which was influencing the dropout, boys dropout, was in that area. There were small, what we call karkhanas. The small, what we can call that karkhana, small warehouses where where there was a small warehouse of shoe making, small warehouses of trousers making. So all big brands had their warehouses in that area. So most of the boys of that area was working in that warehouses. So when the data was collected from the parents, they said that they refused, and when the researcher went and tried to convince that please send your boy to the school, they clearly said that no, they are going to these kharkhanas and earning. So now if the boy is 10-year-old, 12-year-old, to the cap ka karkhana, the leather karkhanas, all these small warehouses where these boys 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old working and earning around 7 to 8,000. So for them, those who are living in slums, 7 to 8,000 were a big money. So big assets. So there in that area, the null hypothesis that the girls drop out is more, which we as studied with the literature review and other thing, definitely will be rejected. Our alternative hypothesis will be accepted. So it is not that if we are rejecting the null hypothesis, it means that we are doing something wrong. So kaise bhi, how somehow you modify your data and then somehow you do the arrangements in your data and then get your no. It's perfectly fine. You have rejected your null hypothesis, but you accepted your alternative hypothesis and you reasoned it. So all these rejection, these are called decisions area. So these decisions area, we get it from p-values. So if, for example, p is less than alpha, I'm going to teach you this also, how we get p less than alpha, p more than alpha. What do we mean by that? If p is less than alpha, we are going to reject our null hypothesis, and it's perfectly fine to reject the null hypothesis. And if p is more than alpha, definitely we fail to reject our null hypothesis. We accept our null. So whatever we have assumed, whatever the researcher has assumed, or whatever, like for example, if we are doing a research on the claim of a company, research on the claim of a teacher, research on the claim of a fitness trainer, research on the claim of a government. So definitely we accept yes there, and more or less if the data is small, always prefer 0.05 level of significance of 5% or 95% confidence. Now, I hope this much is clear. I hope this much is clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. Now, any question till here? Anyone? Just a minute. Yeah. So just now I have given you an example here. That company claims that, and I have used this example also when I was explaining that the average salary of the employee working in this company is $50,000 or 50,000. So what will be our null hypothesis? That mean salary is 50,000. So the average, when we draw, I will show you how we put this average on the normal distribution curve. That also I'm going to show you. So average salary is 50,000. So, and my null, my alternative hypothesis that the no mean salary will not be 50,000. Now, there are for this, can anybody help me that which type of data it is? Or what type of test we will use here? What type of test we will use? Will use parametric test or non-parametric test? Here just your average salary is given 50,000. Can we make out that this questionnaire, this hypothesis testing will require a parametric test? Can we make out from here? We don't know the sample size.
Ma'am, slide
Right
is
now.
not, that slide is not visible, I think, what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That slide is not seen, what you're asking for, I think so.
it's
The
not visible.
Steps in hypothesis testing is visible slide right now.
Steps in hypothesis testing. Fine.
You're
So,
asking something, huh? Yeah.
yeah. So which test? So looking at the data, we cannot make out. There are two types of tests. One is parametric test. Another one is non-parametric test. Which test we are going to use? There are a list of parametric tests, there are a list of non-parametric tests. Which test we are going to use in our data set, in our hypothesis testing, depends on various factors. Number one, whether your data is normally distributed or not. Now, for a smaller data, we draw a histogram and we make out, fine, that it's normally distributed. I'm going to show you that graph as well. For a bigger data, we have various tests which we conduct on our data set, because the first step is to find out. First step, understand, before you decide what test you are going to use, first step is to find out whether your data set is normally distributed or not. There are various methods and techniques which is there in which is available in software as well, and statistics as well, where using those we find out that whether the data is the moment data is normally distributed. Quantitative data, looking at quantitative data, decides, go ahead with, because here we are not talking about salary, no. Directly the number is given, good salary, bad salary, beautiful girl, no qualitative approach is there. So the moment we see the quantitative data, immediately you can take a call that you are going to use parametric test. Now, there are a list of parametric tests, and each and every parametric test has different role to play. Each and every parametric test has different role to play, and the list of parametric tests. So, to find, first of all, to find out whether parametric test, it is very easy. That is not difficult. Let me tell you. Whether you are using parametric test or you're using non-parametric test, quantitative here, go ahead with the parametric test. For example, there's a basic technique which is there in statistics. One is correlation and one is Spearman correlation, and one is rank correlation and Pearson correlation. So when we say that Pearson correlation, it's a parametric, and Spearman rank correlation, non-parametric. Why rank correlation? Because the moment when we talk about qualitative research, where the qualitative data are there, where the numbers, where the questionnaires and all these, like for example, you take a feedback of faculty. So most of the question, the answers for most of the question you will have in qualitative answers, like very good, good, excellent, better, average, all these. So definitely here you have to you have to use a ranking system. And then also you can test and everything. You have to quantify, again, you have to get it in numbers only. But you cannot use parametric test. You have to use non-parametric test as well. So there are, you have a session on non-parametric test also. So you can use non-parametric test. But for quantitative, the moment you say that the average salary, see parametric. Now another question, which parametric test? So I have listed many few here, and I'm going to take more in detail later, that one sample t-test, two sample t-test, ANOVA. Anybody, what do you mean by ANOVA? Anyone? What do you mean by ANOVA? ANOVA? Vijay sir, Salman sir.
ANOVA is a type of parametric test.
Yeah, it's a type of parametric test. Anybody, what's the full form of ANOVA?
Analysis of variance.
Yes, analysis of variance. We use a variance of different groups to study, because when you have 2, 3, 4, when you have more than 2 groups to study, so then for that you have to study by using the variances of those groups. So that's the reason we use ANOVA in that. So looking at data, whether we are using one sample t-test, whether we are using two sample t-test, whether using paired data, unpaired data, all these I have covered in my PPT. So few I have listed here. Usually remember, unless and until it has been asked that your level of significance should be 0.01 or 0.001, you can set your level of significance at 0.05. It's a good level of significance to do, and you test the hypothesis. It's a good one and accept it. Another various statistical formula which is available, which gives now they gives us a result directly. You feed the data. The easiest one is Excel. Even Excel nowadays gives you all these data: your mean, your standard deviation, your T statistics, your F statistics, your Z score. All these even Excel gives you. You just feed your data, you get the result. So you don't have to work on the data. You don't have to tabulate the data. Tabulation has to be done, but you don't have to do the calculation of those data. You can do it directly. So another way now people are using is Python. They're using codings to get these values. This is again a very interesting thing. Even I can request Raj sir if he can organize a session on how to use Python for research. Even I would like to join, because I am nowadays learning a little bit. I have not learned completely, but I am just learning. I'm trying to learn as my son is doing this, so I got interested. So people now, researchers and statisticians, are using Python also to get all the scores and statistics. So we don't have to now calculate. We just have to do the analysis. That's the reason the knowledge of concept is very important. Now, these are various types of parametric tests. And as I have told you that normally when we are using a parametric test, if we have a small sample, like for example, 20 people, 25 people, 27 samples, or 10 samples, so we can directly go for T statistics, T test. T-test can be further classified as one sample or two sample. Can anybody give me the example of one sample and two sample? One sample and two sample. T-test one sample, T-test two sample. Anyone? Any example you can use. You are sitting in the room, you can think any research and you can come up with an example. One sample and two samples. Yeah, anyone? Kumar ji? Salman ji? Anybody? It's whether you are comparing one sample or you are comparing two samples. Means you are taking a sample from
Ma'am,
different.
for one sample, I think we will take the mean of a population and then see whether it is equal to the, that means what actually, where does it stand when compared to a standard one that we take.
Yeah.
I think for two sample tests, I think we will be, if we are taking the means of two populations, we are comparing the means of two populations.
Yeah, absolutely. In technical term, you are perfectly right, sir. But any example you can give, because the concept is better understood with examples. Any example you can give? Make out from the term, na? One sample and two sample. Make out from the term, one sample and two sample. Like for example, just now I use the example of teacher. Teacher want to understand this teacher is going to this teacher is going in two different class, and then she want to compare these two different class. So there here the two different samples will be drawn from two different class. Is that clear? So the two groups are involved. Two population sets are involved. So this is two sample. Like for example, a company is claiming for the machine or a glucometer or a BP monitor machine. So it is like a one sample. It's overall, and it is talking about the glucometer or the BP machine. I'm going to do this also in detail. So your t-test can be used for one sample or two sample. But the moment you have more than 2 samples, you cannot use t-test. You have to go for ANOVA. You have a further concept also, ANOVA, ka, MANCOVA, MANOVA. So it is like multivariate and all that, because this is little bit higher. First, we have to understand basic, then we can go for that. And if the number of sample is more than 30, and our data set is normally distributed, close your eyes, go for parametric test and your Z test. You have to see for, like for example, as I've told you that Excel, you have a various rules in Excel, where you have various commands in Excel. So for Excel also, you have to give a command. You have to give a command to Excel. You have to, and now with so many software available, we get syntax very easily. You just have to search the syntax for this test. So you will get the syntax for that text. You copy that test syntax in the Excel, feed your data in the Excel, you get all the result. But first, you have to decide whether what the Excel will not tell you that look, here you use the syntax for Z test, you'll use the syntax for T test or for ANOVA. No, you have to give a command. So that's why understanding and knowing is very important. That what are you going to use to test, to find out the assumption what you have made for your research is right. You're going to accept that or you're going to reject that. This is a very general and vague term. So first you have to understand. So if the sample is more than 30 and if your data is normally distributed, yes, you can test that hypothesis by using this Z test. Feed your data, copy the syntax for the Z test, feed your data. Copy the syntax for the Z test from the Excel. Advanced Excel has it. You get your mean value, you get your Z score, you get your p-value, and if your p-value is less than your alpha, then accept, reject it, otherwise accept it. So that way. Next is Pearson correlation. Now for Pearson correlation, this is very interesting, and you know, when we talk about advanced research and when we say that the research which we do are used by big doctors, specialists, because we sell them our models. But for doing a good, effective model, the base is here, Pearson correlation, because this is the base. From here we start correlation. Means we talk about the correlation between dependent and independent variable. I remember there was when I did my research methodology long back in 2006 or 7 when I joined and I did in Rizvi College. There was one professor who came from some very good university. I really liked this session. So he said that, and he was very good statistician. He said that the modeling which he's doing, he's selling those modeling to doctors. Like for example, the example which even today I remember after so many years, the example which he gave said that there was one eye doctor. She took the model from him for like whether after eye operation, whether like a glaucoma operation, whether the patient will again get glaucoma, what is the possibility of patient getting glaucoma again? So what is my dependent variable that the patient getting glaucoma again? The n number of variable which will influence the patient getting glaucoma again. So what are those variables? The age of the patient, the genetics of the patient, the immunity of the patient, the gender of the patient. So and which factor influences more? So he said that I've sold that model to us. Now this doctor is only feeding the data. The patient coming, feeding the data, she is operating, and she's saying that yeah, okay, fine. With that model, she can easily say that okay, you have a 30% chance or a 40% chance that you may get glaucoma again. So this is how even our model, but to understand model, we have to understand Pearson correlation. This correlation, this technique, statistical technique, explain us what relationship exists between dependent and independent variable. When we talk about single variable, for example, for an economics teacher, what comes immediately in our mind is the price and demand. Okay, price is an independent variable, demand is a dependent variable, and it's a single variable. It's a single variable. So when I say the single variable means we are talking about a single, but demand cannot be influenced only by price. There are n number of factors which influences demand of any factor. For example, iPhone. When we talk about iPhone, there are n number of factors which influences the demand of iPhone in a particular nation, in a particular country. So which factor influences more, which factor influences less, and then company buy these models and work accordingly. So it has, statisticians have very important role to play in trend analysis and all these things and forecasting and all. So first, price and demand, there exists a relationship. Means there exists a correlation. Now, what are the types of there are three types of correlation. Zero correlation means there is no correlation between price and demand. Positive correlation means if price will increase, definitely demand will increase. Negative correlation, if price will increase, demand will fall. So first, to know what type of relationship, what type of correlation exists in dependent and independent variables is important. And to understand and to know and to calculate, we have a method and we have a technique in statistics, which is a Pearson correlation, because a parametric test, therefore we use Karl-Pearson correlation. Karl-Pearson correlation. And again, as I have told you, you feed your data, forget about other big SPSS and R and Python and all, your Excel gives you result. You don't have to calculate now with the formula X bar and all that stuff. You get a correlation. You can get a positive correlation, negative, or zero correlation. That depends. Then after you get a correlation, you have to understand that which variable influences more, which variable influences less. So in that, to know that which variable influences more, which variable influences less, which variable influences positively, which variable influences negatively, we have regression. So we have simple linear regression or multiple linear regression. So this is again a different statistical technique which we use to understand the relationship between dependent and independent variable, and not only dependent and independent variable, there exists a relationship among independent variable as well. So therefore, so these are few types of, there are many other also factor analysis and all that thing, which I have not, I don't know whether I'll be able to cover this much. I'll try, I'll go fast after this. So these are the few which I have listed. I'll try to cover all these. Let's see. Now, for t-test, as I have told you, we have 1 sample, 2 sample, 3 sample. Now let's take an example of this. A teacher claims that average exam score is 70. Okay, this is the example which I have just used. Okay. Now, can anybody, the entire thing is given. The entire research, the data and everything is given on this slide. That's the reason, just to cover everything. So I have reduced the font size because I wanted everything to be on the one only slide. So can you tell me, can anybody read this research and read the analysis and read the conclusion? Anyone? Anyone? Like, there are how many students? 10 students. So the sample size is how many? 10, which is less than 30. So if it is less sample size less than 30, so which test we are going to use? T-test. So quantitative. Then parametric test. So t-test. I'm going to use t-test. Looking at the question, first step, as I have told you, that you have to frame your null hypothesis. So teacher's claim is that the average score will be 70, and the alternate hypothesis will be the average score will not be 70. Will not be, average score will not be 70. Is that clear? Now, I have taken the data of all the 10 students. These are the score. And if you draw a histogram, let me tell you, if you draw a histogram for this, it's very easy to draw a histogram for this. You will find that the data is normally distributed. So that for a small sample and for a quantitative, no need of doing that. Definitely for a large samples, you have to check whether your data, because many a time there are outliers, many a time there are issues where you for different types of research you have get a different issues. So then for that it is very important first to confirm. And for a PhD holder, let me tell you, those who are doing PhD, for them it is very important, start with this step. So you find out your data set is normal distribution, whatever whichever question set, data set you are using for a particular testing of hypothesis. For a different objectives, you can have a different test. You can have a, in the same research PhD, you can have a parametric and non-parametric test as well. If you have a qualitative question as well in your PhD, there are question in vivas where people ask, referee ask why you have used. I have seen, and those who don't know, see, then they give the answer. I remember recently I've attended one PhD viva. There was an expert who was asking that why you have used this test. So the answer which the researcher gave that I have given, because normally what people are doing, they are hiring statisticians, they are getting it done from outside. Fine, it is. I very clearly remember the referee saying that if you have hired a statistician, fine, but what type of data set is, what type of test you have used, why you have used, you did not bother about knowing and understanding. I'm not asking you how you have calculated. I'm not asking you the calculation. Because for calculation, you can give this answer that yes. So those who are doing PhD, and definitely those who are those who have finished the PhD and waiting for the viva, for them it is very important. If you're going for a viva, please see to it that you understand your data set, you understand your questionnaire, you understand your hypothesis testing very well. And this question, I think so, people, those who have already completed, because I could see many PhD holder also, they will vouch that I think so. This is a very common question. Those who have already got the PhD degree, yes or no? Yes or no, participant? That why you have used this test? Two very common question we always get. One is why you have used this test. Another very common question which we get in our viva is why your sample size is this? Yes or no? Audience, you people promise me that you will be, yeah, people are writing, yes. These terms are a little technical for me. Would it be possible? Yeah, Shiba, I'm going to explain everything with examples. I just saw the chat. Don't worry. So, which is another question? Why, for example, I have, I am taking a sample. Let's take 500. Can you give this answer? Can you give this answer? Those who have done the PhD, I think so, they must have faced this question. That why you have taken these many samples? Why your sample size? This is another very important thing for those who are going to do PhD, those who are going to write papers, and if you want your paper to be published in Scopus and all. So why you cannot have any random number of samples? No, you cannot do that. Your known population, your unknown population, that is not my topic, so I'm not going to cover here. That is another very important thing. So last viva which I attended, he asked the student that why, and the answer which the scholar gave was that sir, I'm sorry, I have very less statistic knowledge, so I have given this job to statistician. He has done. So what, what answer referee gave? Referee said, fine, you have given the job of calculation, right? But didn't you feel like that after finishing, you try to understand that why he has used these tests? This is your research. This is not your statistician research who is doing a calculation and analysis for you. This is what is your research. So your input is very important. So did you sat with him and discussed? So he did not accepted that. Luckily, we don't have a tradition of rejecting in Viva thesis. Otherwise, when we get stuck to these questions, we can get a nightmare. So we have to be very particular. So understanding our research is very important. Understanding the various tests. I'm requesting all those who are going for PhD and doing and submitting their PhD or planning to do a good research and planning to publish their research in Scopus, understand these concepts. And this is, let me tell you, it is not at all difficult. We feel that it's difficult. It is not at all. It is so general. It is so general. You can make out from the term which has been used, which has been given here. So like for example, here, why we are saying the one sample t-test, why we are using one sample, because this is one sample only. See now, in data, the data has been collected from one class, one sample. From the 10 students, why we just call one sample? Because one sample means 10 students. We have not taken the entire class. Because we cannot study the entire class, we just want to, teacher cannot keep on collecting the data. Or for example, principal want to know, the teacher, the newly appointed teacher has claimed that, yeah, I've taught very well, she is on probation, now the principal want to now the principal want to keep him permanently. So the principal want to know the claim of this teacher that she is claiming, and before that only, before the result only, she wants to give the letter. So then she's claiming, so definitely she'll make out, let's see. If random score she will see some student have scored 60, some student have scored 50, some student have scored 90 also, some student, now say for example, one of my student have scored 100. So can I say that, oh yeah, I'm a very good teacher because one of my student have scored 100? No. So that's the reason this measure of central tendencies are there. We have to use this measure of central tendency. Our claim should be near to this measure of central tendency. Then only we can say that my claim is good. Like for example, there are many some people say, this is from last 15 years. Working for 15 years. It is not necessary that the Bosch average for 15 years. Unless and until I conduct research and see that whether the claim which will form a null hypothesis will be accepted or will be rejected, then only you can say. So say for example, teacher will show the principal, see my result is one student have scored 100 marks. So I'm a very good teacher. No. So what are you saying, that average or all together, if you see good school now, if you see the result of good school give the average marks also of the class. Why, so that you understand where your child is standing. So this measure of average is what? Average is mean. Then you have a median, then you have a mode. So these are the three measures of central tendency which is used to see the claim or the assumptions or the thinking or what we have thought about it. So to prove that, to accept or to reject it. Is that clear? So therefore it is very important to understand. So you cannot say, okay, now teacher has said that the one student has scored 100 marks, ma'am, I'm a good teacher. So you keep me. No, that student must have scored 100 marks because that student must be intelligent. That student parents must be taking care. Teacher, he doesn't need teacher only. So that can be one reason. So average is very important. And then you have to see, now see here in this marks, one student has scored 69, one student has scored 65, one student has scored 72. And the teacher claim is average score is 70. So my testing of hypothesis should show that my average score, what teacher is claiming is right or wrong. How you will say, can you make out from this data set that, okay, her teacher claim is right. So can the principal make out that the teacher's claim, okay, she's a very good teacher, one student has no. So therefore you have to sum up the data. You have to calculate a mean. You have to calculate the standard deviation. You have to calculate the t-statistics, t-value. Then with the help of t-value, you And now you have to see that your formula sheet or your software gives you that T statistics and P value. That only gives you. So P value also you get it directly. So now we don't have to earlier what we the T table, the Z score table was given. So then we have to see that what is the T value you have got. So T value here in this sum we have got 1.242. So with that 1.242 at 0.0 level of significance, this is the P value. So we used to do that. And when I did my econometrics, I did my econometrics in TY as well as my MA. I was an econometric and mathematical economics student, that too on campus. So in Mumbai University. So I was taught by a very good teacher. Nachne was my teacher for econometrics, and another Rao was my teacher. So they were very good teachers. So then in the exam we used to get a table. We used to get a table. So we used to find out the value and we used to write the answer. And when we used to do that time in 2000, 2001, so the teacher used to give us and we used to show that this is the table and these are the values. So how to calculate? Earlier we were not even how to calculate, but now there is no need with the software. You directly get a T statistics. The moment your T statistics is there, with the help of T statistics, you will get your P value. Now, what is your p-value? Your p-value is 0.246. At what level of significance we are testing? 0.05. At what level of significance we are testing? 0.05. Now, what is my p-value? I want an answer from the participant. If you have understood, then definitely you will answer. My p-value is 0.246. Our level of significance is 0.05. You tell me whether you will reject the null hypothesis or you'll accept the null hypothesis. You will accept the teacher's claim. If you're a principal, you will accept the teacher's claim or you will reject the teacher's claim. Yeah. Yes. Anybody, please? Anyone? Please.
Null hypothesis cannot be rejected because the p-value is greater than 0.05.
Yes. So you will accept teacher's claim, right? Yes or no? This is a technical term, like null hypothesis will not be accepted. But the analysis, what is the analysis? The analysis is we'll accept the teacher's claim or will not accept the teacher's claim.
Ma'am, will accept the teacher's claim.
We'll accept the teacher's claim. We'll say that yes, because average score means the overall, the score which student have scored. If you average it, it is coming to what teacher is saying. It is coming to what teacher is saying. Is that clear? So definitely we accept the null hypothesis and we reject why our p-value is greater than 0.05. So we fail to reject any technical term we can use. You can say accept the null hypothesis, or you can say null hypothesis is H0 and HA is your alternative hypothesis. So we'll accept the null hypothesis and we'll reject the alternative hypothesis. So what is the analysis? So now I've seen many research paper also and many theses also, because the statistician had done their job, did the analysis and gave you the analysis. He will not write. He will not write for you, right? You have gone on the field. You have collected the data. You have asked. So, for example, you are doing a research on the performance of the teacher. So, you have met the teacher. So, you know how she's speaking, how she's teaching. So, there are so many other things. So, you have to elaborate now. This US tradition will not be. You will see many PhD theses where the only statistical values is given, and there the referee and the panel just rejected, and they said that where is your analysis, because US statisticians have given you the result. But actually research we have conducted, we know, because this is our research. He has what for him, it is like just a data set. He used the data set, put it on the software, give the result, ho gaya, done, I'm done. You take the result. But we have to write, you have to say that, yeah, the teacher's claim is right because so and so and so and so and so and so reason. Like, for example, I just now gave you the example of dropouts. that the boys dropouts are more in that area. So with the data set which I will give to my statistician, he will give me only result that the hypothesis is rejected, alternative hypothesis accepted. But I was on the field.
Hello.
Answer question from all the parents. So then I have to elaborate. So when you are writing the analysis, remember, don't take the chapters from the statistician and just place it in your thesis. Write the analysis, because there your thing will come. What you have done, because ultimately it's your research. So here you have to write. I have to just given the one statement, but in your research you cannot use only this much statement that okay, these are for numericals, which we do in economics third year. But you have to write the analysis that why this has happened. If you're accepting the null hypothesis, why you are accepting the analysis? What are the reason behind it? Like for example, the performance of working women is better than the performance of housewives. Just for example, no offense, please. For example, so then definitely when you are accepting the performance of working women is better, you're comparing two mean. So then your statistician will give you the result, but you have to write the analysis why, what are the various factors which is making the performance of working women good. So when you write, it is your analysis, and it is very important in your PhD also. And remember, in your research paper also, if you want your research paper, if you're doing a research on a primary data and it should go in a Scopus or something like that, then definitely, or in any newspaper, like for example, potholes on the roads and the construction work done by I want to do a research on this, and I want to give this research to any news editor on a particular lane. For a particular lane, I'm going to do it. And definitely I can sell that research. I have done it. I can sell that research to any newspaper, and my research, if it is an authentic research and good research, they publish it. So these are the new things we can do. And today in tech-driven world, all these are very easy to understand also. So next, this is one sample. Now why one sample? One sample because there is one sample only, one data set from one population set. And why t-test? Because the number of sample is less than 30. Is that clear? Now come to the next one. Now this is another example. Now I have not mentioned anything. This is one sample or two sample? This is one sample or two sample? Yeah, participants. So one sample or two sample?
Ma'am, one sample.
One sample, yes. Which test? T-test, Z-test, F-test?
T-test.
Manova, Mankova? Which?
T-test, ma'am.
Yes. Why T-test?
Ma'am, jet test.
Sample size less than?
Less than 30, ma'am.
Less than 30. And one sample. Okay. Now I want to know whether it will be two tail or one tail. It will be two tail. This is another very important concept. Two tail and one tail. The nutritionist claiming that the average calorie, she's claiming that the average calorie intake, so whichever adults coming to her, she has taken the sample of 15 and she has asked them what is your calorie intake. So they have given her a data and she has given a claim that the average calorie intake of 15 adults is 2,500. So it will be two tail or one tail. What is the meaning of two tail? Anybody? Anyone knows two tail or one tail? I want you to apply in this and then tell me. Anyone?
Ma'am, two tail where the means are different, where the mean value comes, both are different.
No, not exactly. What she's claiming, tell me. What she's claiming? She's claiming that the average calories, the mean, is 2,500. So at 0.5 level of significance. We have
Ma'am,
to
it's
see.
like direction. Like one tail is pointing towards only one particular direction,
Yeah.
and two
Either
tail is like
greater-
can be multi-directional.
Absolutely not multi. It's other way. Like either greater or smaller. Both you consider. Both you consider. Okay, greater or smaller, greater or smaller. So it can be more than. So all this data you see. So she has claimed, and we use measure of central tendency. What mean what? No. So all these data scattered around this. Are scattered around this. So her claim, if for example, if I'm getting my null hypothesis accepted, so her claim is proper. So let's see. Let's see. So it can be more also, it can be less also. So if you're talking about more, like for example, a doctor is claiming that the medicine which I'm giving will 101% after 2 months. I remember I took my father. This is also one topic for research. To the global hospital. He said that he was bedridden and he was facing. But as a daughter, you try that you should do so many things. So then he said, "No, I am telling you, in 1 month he will be on his foot." My father did not survive even a week after that. So like that, it is like you claim that, okay, fine, this will be less than. So it is one tail. It is like survival only. So survive. So it is not survive or dead or bedridden, no. So survival. So this is one tail, positive. So the moment we test in one direction, either more than like a BP medicine, the blood pressure will definitely reduce. So it is one tail. So your BP definitely will be less than this. So in the positive direction. So right side. So right tail, that I will explain you. Right tail. So all these definitely, if you will see what is she's claiming. She's claiming that my mean calorie intake will be 2,500. My null hypothesis is 2,500. My alternative hypothesis is it will not be 2,000. I'm saying two tail test. It can be more, it can be less. I'm not saying it can be more than this, it can be less than this. Now let's see. We will have a one sample t-test. Why one sample? Because we have taken a sample from a 15 adults. There are no two different groups. We will reject if our p-value is less than 0.05. As I have told you, 95% is always better. 95% confidence means if you are confident, 95% wonderful, well and good. Whether small sample, whether large sample. And you reject if it is not. Let's see what is happening here in the data set. Small size 0.05. Let's see what is happening. What are we going to do? We are going to define the hypothesis. First step, we are going to take the data, we are going to feed the data. Second step, we are going to perform t-tests. We have declared that we are going to use t-tests. It's a small sample, parametric, normal distribution. Yes. Then we will use a table, or we can get a value now. In the moment of using a table, we get a value, p-value, we get it. So let's see what is happening. Find the p-value. We have found the p-value. And what is happening here? I have given the example why I have used a one sample t-test in this example. Because number of adult, normally distribution, that's the reason why no that test. Now have a look. So why would we not use if comparing two groups? This I have already explained. I just want a result. Wait a minute. I'll show you the result. Just a minute. I have a wait a minute. Because I've got a reminder also from sir that time is up. So to rush. Now, as I had told you that why we have used one sample t-test over there, because the data is normally distribution. These are the various method which has been listed. By using these method, we can check for large data. You have to check, and I'm telling you, even you are writing a research paper also, feed your data in the software and check. It is very important because when you will feed the data and you will check by using these different types of method, which is mentioned over here: histogram, Q-plot, Shapiro-Wilk test, Kolmogorov test, Anderson-Darling test. There are skewness kurtosis test. So these are the various tests. You feed the data because your referee may ask you that why you have used parametric test. So you should be in a position to say that, yes, sir, I have used this particular test and the result of this particular test. This is not my topic. That's why I'm not going to elaborate much on this. The result of parametric, just a minute. My data is normally distributed. My data is normally distributed. That's why I have used. These are the various tests which you can conduct to find out whether your data is normally distribution, and then you can take a call that you are going to use a normal distribution. Even a small set maybe you can apply. If there is a small data set, then no need of applying. You can answer it. That is a quantitative data. So for a quantitative data, smaller number, I have used this test. Okay. Now another scenario. Again, it is very important. This is, you tell me what type of research and what type of test you're going to apply. A researcher want to determine whether the average sleep duration of college is significantly different from the recommended 8 hours per night. Yeah, participants, my friends, my colleagues. So which test?
Ma'am, maybe non-parametric test because everybody may have a different cycle of sleep. So the data cannot be normally distributed.
Hello, Salia ma'am. I think she is out of range. But kindly bear 2 minutes. Am I audible? Sadiq sir?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, I think she's out of range. Kindly bear for 2 minutes.
Yes, sir, sure. Sir.
Salia ma'am. Yeah, she's joining in 2 minutes, huh? Yeah.
I'm sorry, my laptop discharged, and as teachers get engrossed, I could not realize also, and I did not notice the warning also.
No problem, ma'am.
So just give me 1 second. That's the reason I joined immediately. You know, when your laptop is dead, your mobile come handy. So I joined immediately from my mobile. So here in this example, the example which I have used, that the researcher want to know, the immediately it comes in your mind that fine, in this research, researcher is claiming that 8 hours, and we can come up with a very strange result that nowadays college going student are not getting a good sleep. They are not getting 8 hours sleep. So let's see the researcher who is claiming that they are getting 8 hours sleep, whether they're getting or not. So what will be null hypothesis in this research? What will be my mu? Mu means average. Mu means mean. In statistical term, we use mu because it's a statistical variable which we use to study. So what will be my mu here? What will be my null hypothesis here? Anybody from the class? The researcher is claiming that the students who are going to college are getting an average sleep of 8 hours. So what will be my null hypothesis? How you will frame null hypothesis? Because the first step, the moment once the hypothesis comes, means your assumption come. Whoever is assuming, whether a researcher is assuming, or government is saying, or a company is saying, or a teacher is saying, whoever. Mostly we are researching, so we are a researcher, so we are saying that. So what will be my null hypothesis? Anybody please pass so that I can at least cover a few more examples on a different test.
Ma'am, null hypothesis will be the average sleep duration is 8 hours.
Yes, madam. Yes. And what will be alternative hypothesis?
Ma'am, the average sleep duration is not 8 hours. That will be the
And what
alternate.
level of significance we will be testing this hypothesis? At what level of significance? Usually we do it at 0.05.
0.05.
So I'm giving you a value. My p value is 0.00998. Can you give me the decision? Can you tell me the decision? Whether we reject the null hypothesis that average sleep is 8 hours, or we accept the null hypothesis that yes, average sleep is 8 hours.
We have to accept the null hypothesis.
We have to accept the null hypothesis. Listen to the value. 0.00998. 0.00998. We'll accept or we'll reject?
We have to reject.
We'll reject, na? What is the alpha value? At us 0. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Rupali madam. Absolutely reject. Yes, absolutely. We'll reject. Why we will reject? Because listen to what is the value? What is the p value? P value is 0.00998. 0.00. And then 998. And at what level of significance we are testing? 0.05. Yes. Achha, you want to be a 99.99% confidence. So there the value will be different then. Understand? Your p-value will not be this. Your p-value will be different. At 0.001 level of significance, your p-value is different. And then we'll have a different result. I would have done it right now and it would have shown you, but right now we don't have time that much. So here at a 0.05 level of significance, it is not 0.005, it is 0.005, 0.05. And my value, p value is 0.00998, so which is definitely less than 0.05. Yes, Rupali madam. Okay, understood. Yeah. So we are going to reject the null hypothesis. And let me tell you, the sample mean, what are we getting is 7.39 hours. So at an average, students are not getting 8 hours sleep. So the claim of researcher is not. Yeah. Anybody? Somebody said something? Now, there is another concept in t-test is unpaid. What is the meaning of unpaid? When we use unpaid t-test. Unpaid t-test.
When it is not similar.
Two
Yeah.
different.
Yes,
Sample is
very good.
different.
Yes, very good. Like for example, can you give me the example when definitely the data sets are not similar, the samples are not from a similar group? Can you give me the example?
Ma'am, students who are practicing yoga and students who are not practicing yoga.
Absolutely, students. So they whether the so you want to know that the students who are practicing yoga are more active, or students who are not practicing yoga are more active. So what will be your null hypothesis in this?
There
What
is
will
no
be null
difference
hypothesis?
between students getting
Students
yoga
are
and
active if they are doing yoga, right? So there are two different groups. One group is students who are doing yoga. Another, yes, absolutely, Bhavesh ji, absolutely, very good. Yes, difference between. So students who are doing, so there are two group here. So there are both, and why it is called unpaid? Make out from the term unpaid. Why it is called unpaid? It is called unpaid because both the group are independent. They are not dependent on each other. Then only you can use unpaid t-test. Because both the group, students, because these are the two groups. One is student doing yoga. Another group is student not doing yoga. And then you are studying their health, whether they are healthy or not. So both the group are independent. So when we have such study, then in that case, we use unpaid t-test, which we call independent t-test, where the mean of both the groups are taken, the difference between them are taken, and then the calculations are done. So mean of both, like for example, I'll give you another very good example. Like a school want to evaluate. Listen to this question. I cannot share my PPT unfortunately because my laptop is hanged. So it's not charged. So I'm just giving you an example. A school want to evaluate whether two different teaching method. Now, what are the two different teaching method? One, now in after COVID, definitely we can take the example of online teaching method. So two different teaching method. So one teaching method is a traditional method, which we do chalk and talk. Another teaching method is a online teaching method. See, after COVID, this would have not been possible if there would have been no COVID. So right now what is happening is also a result of COVID. So two different teaching method. One is a traditional teaching method and another one is on online teaching method. So there are two group of student. One group of student are studying traditional teaching and one group of students studying an online teaching, under online teaching. Now whose performance will be good? Whose performance will be good? We are going to study that. Now can you in this, can you frame a null hypothesis? Frame H0. H0 is null hypothesis. Frame H0. Yes, anybody? Frame H0. How you will frame for independent, how you have to frame, you have to understand. If you have a two group, how you have to frame and how.
Ma'am, there is no significant difference between the students who are learning on online platform and who are learning on chalk and talk method, or the offline method.
Yes, wonderful, Aarti madam. Very good. Yes, there is no significant difference. Means we are saying that no, there is no difference. So mu0 is equal to mu1. So the average score of those students who are studying online and the average score of those students who are studying with a traditional method are same. This is my null hypothesis. And what will be my alternative hypothesis? Uska just opposite. It will not be same. So average score will not be same. Now here again, as I have told you that we are going to use. Now I have taken this. I have taken the score and I've collected a data. I've collected a sample. I've collected a data. I've taken the score. So the different score has been given. Two group of student. Yes, sir. Two group of student. Let me see. What are you saying? Two group student taught by each method. Yes, sir. Two different groups are taught by these two different methods. So the group of students are taken and their different methods. One group is taught in a traditional method, another group is taught by an online method. Is that clear? So we are going to study the score, exam score by this exam score of these two groups. Is that clear? Now I'm giving you the value. You give me the interpretation, because value automatically, definitely, as I told you, as we are using a software, so value we get automatically we get a value. Now this value is, this is a very good, interesting value, because that's the reason why I've taken this example. The interesting value is T statistics is minus 2.237. Now, what do you mean by minus 2.237? Class, sorry, participant, my friends, my colleague, minus 2.237. Whether, now at minus 2.237, my p value is 0.0405. My p value is 0.0405. Now you will accept the null hypothesis or you will reject the null hypothesis.
Ma'am, is this for the first group or the second group?
No, we are comparing, ma'am. We are comparing. So we have taken the score of both the groups. Studying and so we have taken the score, exam score of both the groups. So when we
Reject the
calculate
null
in a formula,
hypothesis.
if you see, ma'am, in a formula, in an unpaired t-test, the formula is where we use the differences of the mean. But now we don't do formula because we do it with the help of software. So now the moment we have seen that here there are two different groups. So two different means are there and the number of sample is less than 30. So then automatically we will decide and we'll take a call that we are going to use t-test, unpaired t-test, means independent t-test. So we have to give a command to our software, whichever software we are using. We have to feed the data set. We have fed the data set. After feeding the data set, we have to give the command. We have to write a syntax, or we have to give the command that unpaired t-test value. So our software will give us an unpaired t-test value. So unpaired t-test value I am giving you. That's why that t-test ka value hai minus 2.237, because as I have told you that we are other speaker is meeting. Okay. So I'm just winding up. So definitely minus 2 point, and my p value is 0.405. So when my p value is 0.405, I'm going to accept, but just give me this answer, whether I'm going to accept the hypothesis, I'm going to reject the hypothesis. Accept. Listen to this again. P value is 0.0405. Anybody? And we are level of significance is 0.05. Yeah, yes, Rupali, yes, madam, reject. Yeah, we will reject. Why we will reject? Because the value which is 0. The value which is 0.05 is less, the value which we have got 0.0405 is less than 0.05. So we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So we are going to say no, the score is not same. Then we have another thing in this, that then whose score is better. So we have another test which we have to do. Hopefully if we meet next time, we can continue. And there are a few more tests which parametric tests we have, which we can, this analysis of variance. There's another two very important and general, and which normally we use even in our small research paper also if we write. One is ANOVA, which we do it because we have to do it if we have a different, more groups, more than 2 or 3. And another one is chi-square. Chi-square means if we conduct our data by survey method and we have a different variables data available, then we use chi-square. So this two thing is only remaining. So then more or less general parametric test I have covered. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I have I've exceeded my time. Rajesh sir, I'm extremely sorry I've exceeded my time. Hope you must have understood. This is a very vast topic. It is extremely difficult to cover in 1.5 hours. Next time, if I will see you, definitely I'll take one research topic and I apply all the tests and
Yeah,
we'll go
yeah,
ahead.
ma'am.
Okay.
I do understand.
Yeah.
Actually, that one thing I understood, a practical session, we need to keep more sessions. But indeed, it was very easy. The example you shared, I think the examples they will understand easily. And if we are able to make them understand how the tests are used, we are successful. Then the other part, the statistician can work, but they must understand that was my actual intention. So thank you very much for being with us. You are on Rosa, still you deliver lecture. So I sincerely give thanks on behalf of Anjuman Islam's AP College. And thank you very much on behalf of students as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. See you again on this platform. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Has Dr. Polly ma'am joined? Ma'am, are you there? Polly ma'am? Yeah, madam is there. Dr. Smita ma'am?
Hello?
Hello, sir. Hello,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
Good afternoon. Yeah, yeah. So, one minute, ma'am. I'm asking Dr. Smita ma'am is there?
Yeah. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Give me 1 minute. Huh? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Smita ma'am is yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So very good afternoon. We have our speaker, second speaker with us, all from Kerala, Dr. Paulami Mukherjee. She'll be giving lecture on qualitative research methods. As we know that today we are using mixed methods. So many times we are more into surveys and methods like grounded theory, the ethnological studies, we are not more aware of the students of commerce and economics because the sociology, anthropology students more use it. So I requested ma'am to enrich you with basic concepts of methods using qualitative study. So ma'am, first of all, personally, I welcome you on this platform. And now formally, I request my colleague, Dr. Smita Salunke to introduce you. Dr. Smita ma'am.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and I welcome you all for the today's ICSSR WRC sponsored capacity building program. I'm delightful and honored to introduce the guest speaker of today, Dr. Palomi Mukherjee. She is a renowned speaker and an expert in the field of history, and she will be speaking. Excuse. And she will be speaking on the topic case study, grounded theory, and phenomenology in research. Ma'am, let me introduce ma'am to the audience. Palomi ma'am is the Director of Research Center and Assistant Professor at PG Department of History and Research Center, Assumption College, Autonomous College, which is an autonomous college in Kerala, after completing her PhD from Jadavpur University in Kolkata in international relations on the theme of Indo-Portuguese bilateral ties and its legacies in 2010. She has also done her postdoctoral researches from the Asiatic Society Kolkata on gender studies and the Gulbenkian Foundation, Lisbon, Portugal, on legacy and heritage studies between 2012 and 2017. She has been a recipient of few fellowships from the IFE Institute of Advanced Studies Africa, the Archaeological Survey of India, the Indian Institute of Advanced Study, the Planning Commission of India, the Indian Council of Historical Research, Avabai Vadia Fellowship from SNDT University, Mumbai, and Inter-University Center for Intellectual Property Rights Studies, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Kochi. To experience and understand the cultural uniqueness of the Indian coastal regions, she has developed her interests in Indo-Portuguese studies, maritime history, interculturality in history, women and gender studies, and research methodology. And some of her books that she has authored are Portuguese Presence in India, Malabar and Goa, Introducing Women's Studies, Spice Routes, History, Legacy, and Diplomacy.
Ma'am, we are thrilled to have you with us today to address the audience. And I'm confident that the presentation that you'll be sharing with us, your insights that you'll be sharing with us, your expertise that you'll be sharing with us will be both informative and engaging. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us.
Thank you, Smita ma'am, for your wonderful words. Hope you can hear me clearly. So,
Yes, yes.
and I know because Dr. Saleha was handling a very wonderful session, so it is very challenging for me to continue after her presentation. But before I start, I should thank Dr. Rajesh because he's a good friend and we are friends for many years, more than 10, 12 years.
Wonderful.
So thank you all the organizers and all of you because organizing this kind of program is not easy. It's very challenging and in spite of our academic responsibilities, our all other engagements, nowadays for teachers organizing these kinds of programs are really, really difficult. And
We are very proud of Rajesh sir, ma'am. He handles
yeah,
all
and
these
you
things
are
with so much
yeah, and
skill and
really, and continuously for 2 years, for 10 days, organizing this kind of workshops is a great achievement for your institution. And I really appreciate all of your support and I congratulate all of you for this.
thank
And
you for being with us, ma'am.
yeah, so one thing is good that ma'am continued a little more. So I don't will I have to speak less. So it's not a problem. So and as you know that ma'am was dealing with data. I'm dealing with feelings, concept, and isms. So it's a contrast. So before I start, I think let me check that I'm able to share my PPT or not. Just let me know. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, as you know, it's a vast topic, qualitative research. So, I was asked to talk about grounded theory, phenomenology, and case study methods, how we are utilizing these three methods in our research. So, particularly in social science research, because I have done my researches on social sciences. And from I think 2010, I completed my PhD, and it was completely interdisciplinary. I'm a student of history. I did my PhD from international relations. Then I studied different cultural aspects, gender, other social movements. So it was I got some exposure to do research in different fields. So that is the reason interdisciplinary research what today UGC is promoting. Actually, if you want to do a very good research, qualitative research methods are necessary. Why it is necessary? Because theories, methods, concepts, these are nothing but other people, while doing their research, they develop certain models which actually help us to continue our researches. And now, you know, because of AI, we are having already established models, which I think Dr. Saliha was also mentioning that nowadays everything is software. Earlier, for our research time in 2010, before that, we used to go to the statistician for data analysis. So we'll go to economics department or statistics department for analyze our data. But nowadays, if you buy a software, it is very much easier for you to understand. So first of all, we should think that these theories are nothing to be afraid of. These are certain set of rules, some regulations, which all the scholars, they were experts in their fields. While doing research, they developed this theory so that it is easier for the next generation of researchers to do their research, conduct their research. So these models, because when we write our thesis, it is expected that we will follow certain academic format, like all the words we are using, all the concepts we are using, especially in social sciences, you need to clarify those things. So you have to prepare a background with these concepts and theories and formats and format of analysis. Then only I think it will be presentable. So format is also very important in research. So for the formatting purpose and the data analysis, I think all of you know that now data is available more than we want it. Okay, so we can access data freely. We can access data, paid data are also available. So data, we have the data, but how to analyze those data and in which kind of format, that is the most important point when we develop and write our thesis. That is very important. So that is the reason. So let's start our slides. Let's see. Can you see? I can change the slides or not. Let's see. Yeah. So in this presentation, we'll be discussing about, as I already mentioned, grounded theory, phenomenology, case study, these three qualitative methods, because these are all part of qualitative research method. I will, in a minute, I will explain what is qualitative research. And all of you have read about it, and for the coursework, you have to study all this. But I think if you understand the meaning and try to apply it in your research will be much more smoother. It will be easier and you can enjoy the doing research. The procedure will be enjoyed. So when we start research, our condition is just like that man observing that picture, because we see different theses and we find it very organized, perfect. All the colors are perfectly kept and it becomes a very nice picture, which is completely sellable. And people are spending a lot of lakhs of rupees, crores of rupees to buy if that kind of paintings. So, and we think that it is very difficult for us and we get some anxiety that how to do that. But if you try to understand that small parts are associated with this particular painting. First, if you have the knowledge of use of color, if you have the knowledge of the concept, the exact frame, in that frame, what are the important elements we are getting, and finally, proper compilation. So our thesis is nothing but just like a perfect painting. It should be written following certain format and following certain language of expression also. So for that, we need concepts, we need ideas, we need theories. That is the purpose of having this thing. So as you were attending the qualitative research, quantitative research perspective related to data analysis and other perspective. So why qualitative is different from quantitative? Because both are necessary. For writing thesis, you need data and you need the context in which you are utilizing the data. So just like two wheels of our vehicle. So if you consider your thesis as a vehicle, so two wheels, one is data, another one is contextualizing those data and coming to a proper conclusion. So without qualitative research is not possible. And without qualitative research, quantitative data cannot be analyzed or written properly, can be represented properly, because representation is very much important. So for the representation of thesis, we need particularly this qualitative research. So in qualitative research, we ask questions like why it happened. But so that is the purpose. So purpose of qualitative research is why, to know the reasons behind it. But in quantitative data, how much? Okay, how much? How many? So how much, how many, these type of questions, if you are having, we are collecting these things through quantitative research methods. And when we try to understand why, what are the reason, what are the factors, what are the concepts, what are the background, then we focus on qualitative research. So qualitative research also follows observation, symbol, word, different kinds of words, meaning of the words are very much important. Ism, which ism you are following. Okay, so like mercantilism, environmentalism, nationalism, different perspectives, your ideas and ideologies and concepts by different scholars, we have to analyze. Then only we can fit our data analysis into that required format. Okay, so observe and interpret is the approach. And in quantitative research, the approach is actually measure and test. Measurement of the data and testing, which Ma'am Saleha was mentioning. Dr. Saleha was mentioning about it. And grouping of common data, non-statistical analysis is part of qualitative thing. And in quantitative, statistical analysis becomes very much important. So like that, qualitative and quantitative research. That is the differences we have to understand if we want to know about them. So what are the approaches they are following? So qualitative approaches in social sciences, usually they follow inductive approach. What is inductive approach? Theories from data rather than testing pre-existing theories. So they will be developing theory. What kind of data you are having? On the basis of that, they try to contextualize. For example, if I want to know about the gender development of a particular area and their performance in workforce, women in workforce or transgender in workforce, if we want to know about a particular area, just like Bombay, just like Trivandrum, just like a particular village in some other area. So their context will be different. Their applications also will be different because their geographical area is different, political conditions are different, social conditions are different, psychological parameters are different, rural, urban parameters are different. If you are higher educated, if you are primary educated, your ideologies are different. If you're first generation learner, your things will be different, perspectives will be different. If you are coming from a very educated family, your ideas will be different. So these factors are very much important in qualitative research. So that's why it is called an inductive approach. And subjectivity is very much important. Objectivity means this formula, this answer. This particular data, if you are having, these aspects you will be getting. So it is very direct question answer session you can do with objective research. But when we talk about subjectivity, it includes, that's why when I started the presentation with the picture, that is very subjective. Looking at it, because it is not a singular object. If you see, it is talking about a certain event, certain incident of a particular time and space of an area. So it includes a lot of things. The canvas is large. The canvas is not small, not one-to-one. It includes many things, many factors. So subjective affair is very much important, and inner meaning, outer meaning, feelings, real emotions, experiences, all these aspects are significant for this. And it is following a holistic approach, incorporating each and every perspective, social, political, cultural, economic, emotional. All these aspects are coming together. That's why it is called holistic perspective. It is flexible and adaptive. Different kinds of theories, they try to apply and they try to check that whether it is contextually connected or not. So when we will discuss about the examples, I will explain about this thing also. So flexibility and adaptability, these are also significant approach of qualitative research. So non-numerical data, we always deal with non-numerical, which cannot be expressed through numerical data. Those approaches like words, narratives, symbols, visual materials. If we want to work on the posters of First World War, the posters of social revolutions. So these kinds of approaches we can work on through qualitative research. So how do we do data analysis? We do thematic analysis related to the themes, any particular theme. Then we do content analysis, examining text or media for themes or meaning. Narrative analysis, studying stories and personal accounts. On the basis of that, we come to a conclusion. Discourse analysis. Discourse, critical understanding the language, power dynamics, social structures. So discourse, narrative, content, and theme. These are the four major aspects of qualitative research and the data analysis on this perspective. Okay. And when we talk about qualitative research in a nutshell, philosophical underpinning is important. Sampling is also there. Designs are there, different designs, theories, and from that theory, we get a design. For example, if we try to understand Marxism, I think material culture becomes very much important. These words are very much important. So we always ask you to know the meaning of material culture. We always ask you to know the meaning of the political economy. These kind of words we are getting. These words are very significant in social sciences because what you are trying to express through your writing, That is very significant here. So there are different designs. Under that design, our grounded theory is coming. Ethnographic designs are there. Narrative related things are there, because oral history, oral traditions, like some songs, some performances, when we try to work on those tribal aspects, tribal lifestyle, musical instruments, music, art, these things, sometimes we don't have any literary sources. So we have to depend on the oral tradition. So how to use the oral tradition, how to record it, how to preserve it, how to document it. That perspectives we are getting from different qualitative methods. So we will explain I will explain the grounded theory, phenomenology, and case studies. I think you will come to it. This is a general discussion we are doing just to set up the background. What is qualitative research? Okay, so there are instruments. We are having, just like in data analysis, we are having different instruments. In qualitative analysis also, we are having interviews. Interviews play a very important role. And from the interview, we record the interview, we transcribe it, we try to understand the inner meaning, and sometimes we want to translate also from different languages we are getting, and then we try to analyze the data. So that interview to the writing, it takes long time. There are different processes of that. So interviews are there, observations are there, document analysis is there, biographies we have to study, artifacts we have to study sometimes. So data analysis application is also applied. So if you see this slide, I think it will be easier for you to understand. Then, what are the strengths and limitations of qualitative research? Strength is deep understanding is possible through this kind of approach. Then context sensitive, every context, it needs some of the focus in some of the areas we need to focus, like cultural aspects, political aspect, economic aspect, psychological aspect, even living lifestyle related to things, urban, rural, the contextualizing our perspective. So context sensitive research can be conducted through qualitative form of mode of research. Then flexibility, already I was mentioning that, adaptable to emerging themes and insight. Every new, as a publication of new results are also coming in social sciences, I think we can incorporate them also in the qualitative mode of research. So it is open to new developments. It's open to new context, political, social, economic context, cultural context as well. So emphasizes human subjectivity. For whom we are doing social research, it is for society. So for the benefit of the society, so our intentions to help developing betterment of human being, that becomes very important. Human subjectivity is more important. So that is the reason, these are the strengths of qualitative research, but there are some limitations. Limitations means about its complexities, because there is no exact formula that if you do this kind of results you may find. So this is, sometimes it is time consuming. You have to test, you have to give time for recording, and from recording from the interview, then you have to write again, rewrite again, because generation to generation, time to time, things are changing. So it is time taking. The procedure is a little time taking, because we collect data very fast, but while how to write, how to analyze those data and represent as if in the form of thesis or form of article, it takes time, right? So that is the reason it is a time consuming thing, and too much subjectivity sometimes creating confusion. So there should be some limit to this subjective approach. So it should be a combination of subjective and objective. Both of the approaches are necessary, and limited generalizability is also there, and data complexity might come related to this particular form of qualitative research. So in a nutshell, qualitative research method, it follows observation, interview, focus groups, case study research, grounded theory, ethnography, phenomenology. These are the elements of qualitative research. Anywhere when you do, I think if you Google, you will get many these kind of forms, and you can use it accordingly to understand. So our first topic is actually grounded theory. So three thrust area we'll be focusing in this qualitative research format. So first one is grounded theory. What is grounded theory? And the goal, method, and example, because it's a very vast thing. So for your easy understanding, I kept it like that. The goal, the method, and different examples we'll be discussing about it. So what is the goal of grounded theory research method? It's a research method under the banner of qualitative research. In this theory, it's very interesting that we are not following any established theories. We gather data, and on the basis of our requirement, we try to develop our own theories, maybe combining different kinds of theories. Economic theory, sometimes we can take sociological theory, some options we can take. Sometimes we can take some theories from literature. Then we try to develop a particular form of structure by which we represent our thesis. Because the ultimate purpose is to represent our thesis properly, academically, in academic language. So for that, we are using different theories. So when your data is collected, different theories you are placing for, and to make it more presentable, more conceptually clear, and more authenticated by different scholars' arguments. So that is the purpose of presenting in PhD thesis. So method is constant comparative analysis we'll be doing through grounded theory. Different theories, as I said, different perspective, different theories. We try to compare and we try to come to a conclusion as per our requirement. So examples, some examples I have given. So from sociology, because you know that social sciences, we are talking about social sciences. This qualitative research became very important from 1920s onwards, very long time ago. 1920s in America, they started focusing on social science research. Why? Because of different reasons, different political, cultural reasons. They were funding social science research, and they were trying to develop it as a good academic, established academic field. So 1920s, it was initiated. But it became much popular, and in all the universities, they started applying qualitative research, and those were going to do PhD there. All the methodologies, they were giving them training to work on this qualitative research from 1970s onwards, when social research became very much important. Social movements were going on all over the country, all over the world. So automatically, all the researchers, they tried to popularize this kind of methods like grounded theory, phenomenology, then that ethnography, then case study methods. They started applying all this. So more applications of these theories was initiated after 1970s onwards. So let's see one example like sociology. The subject sociology became very popular during this time. So in sociology, when we try to understand homelessness in a particular group, in a particular area, if we want to study, we can utilize grounded theory very effectively, because homelessness comes from economic instability, because poverty. So poverty related theories is applicable. First, we can start with what are the causes of the poverty of that particular person. Then we can identify the category. Which category? A particular age group, a particular family relations of that particular person. Then we try to understand that the psychological condition of that person who is homeless, and how many people are there, and how they are dealing with this kind of poverty problem. So here, many things are associated with this homelessness issue. Homelessness, sometimes we say this is because everybody has fundamental rights for living. We need a shelter, food, shelter, and clothing. These are the three basic things we say. So again, you're going back to that theories, that food, shelter, and clothing. These are the three requirements we need. But this person is not having a shelter. So rest of the two, if he or she is having or not, why he is not having the third factor, these things we start questioning. We start asking questions, and we prepare questionnaire on the basis of that. Because without questionnaire, we cannot conduct an interview. So with that kind of mental condition, we try to understand the homelessness. Again, another subcategory is there. Developed countries, developing countries, quote unquote. So their concept of homelessness varies from developing countries to developed countries. Developed countries homelessness, sometimes it is by choice. And some of the cases, in our case, in developing countries, we are having so many people, they cannot afford to have a shelter. So there are different, that's what we were discussing, different perspective, different aspects, different factors are responsible for this kind of situation. So while studying homelessness, you can develop your multiple perspective using different kinds of theories. And on the basis of your collected data, then you can develop your own new concept, how to analyze their psychology. Because nowadays, psychological factor is becoming very prominent, particularly in last 2 decades. Okay, before that, psychological aspects was a secondary factor. But now everybody is thinking about the mental health along with physical health. So these are time, because according to the time, according to the present, what are the most important theories, on the basis of that we can incorporate in our research method. So grounded theory is open, flexible to adopt all these new perspective from different kinds of data. Another example in education also, online learning experiences. Because of online, we are able to conduct this program much more because we are comfortable sitting at our own places. Traveling expenses also can be saved. Our tension also, because you have to spend time in a particular place. That is also actually easier now because of the online thing. Speakers forms everywhere, all over the world can come together one time, and together we can communicate. But there are different negative aspects are also there, because you all grown up, you know that what are the problems happened after 2020s, what are the our toleration level, our concentration level has become very less because of this kind of activities. Online, we are spending more of our time, our screen time is more. And without that also we cannot survive. So it became very crucial part. Online life has become very important for us. So online learning experience also includes different factors, political, social, economic, as I say, again, psychological, cultural, different aspects are there. So in healthcare also, coping with chronic illness, different group of people, how they are facing their illness and what are the causes of the illness. That also, when we study, we use this kind of grounded theory. Applying medical science, interdisciplinary approach is very significant for grounded theory. That's why we can apply the medical reasons for the disease. Then we can apply the medical conditions of the hospitals. That depends on the governance. Then the prices of medicine and your mediclaim. So service, economy, everything is incorporated if we want to study about the chronic illness of a particular group of people, particular gender, particular area, locality. This kind of approaches can be understood applying grounded theory. Employee burnout. Employees, their mental condition. In today's condition, especially in corporate life, what is the mental condition of the employees of a particular age group, particular gender? So that workspace, so their women rights are coming, their participation is coming, their glass ceiling breaking happening or not, that is important. Relationship with family, relationship with the colleagues, everything coming under in one context. So we are contextualizing all the different aspects of our theories. From different aspects we can incorporate and we can develop a grounded theory of our own. So identity formation in immigrants. Immigration issue, all of us aware today that immigrants from different countries, they are moving from one place to another place, and they are facing lot of difficulties with their own existence and identity and safety security. That is very important. So that aspects we have to actually look into, and while doing our research, we have to note these aspects also. So women's experiences in STEM. Okay, science, technology, engineering, and medical sciences, how they are experiences. So actually through grounded theory, we are developing an interdisciplinary approach where we can borrow models of theories from different scholars. Their concepts we can apply, and we can develop our own way of approaching a particular problem in our thesis, while writing thesis or while writing an article. We can develop our own approach. So in the concluding remarks, we can mention about different theories are applied in this particular thesis, and their formats can be mentioned in the particular form, the idea. So there are two types. I think those who studied this grounded theory, they know that two types of approaches are there on the basis of the two father figures who developed this grounded theory. One is Glaser, another one is Strauss. So both of them, they highlighted the idea related to the flexibility, emergent approaches, coding procedure, and a structured coding procedure was given by Strauss. Strauss has given that in social sciences how to analyze this thing. So in a minute, I will show you the format, in which format we can study this particular grounded theory. And constructivist grounded theory is also found these days. They co-structured between researcher and participants. Some of the researches are going on related to participants and the researcher and their relationship, and it is co-structured between both of them. Nowadays, we see some of the documentaries where participants means the group for which we are conducting research, their performance, along with it, participants are also, participant means the researchers are also coming together and performing with them. And that is getting filmed, that is getting recorded. So that kind of idea is actually constructivist grounded theory formation. So these are the three types of main grounded theory formations, and we have a proper structure for that, proper formula for that. Only we need to contextualize our research on the basis of that. So we'll come to the formula, and how we apply grounded theory. We can apply to sociology, psychology, economics, history, political science, education, health sciences, organization sciences, economics, and many subjects. We can apply these three kinds of grounded theories. Understanding, because it is understanding social processes. To understand the social process, to understand the experiences and group dynamics, we use this theory. And these theories are utilized for interaction, institutional structures also we can understand by applying this grounded theory. So what are the key features, which I already explained in this slide? You will get a clear idea. Data collection and analysis becomes very much important. And simultaneously, we are collecting data and we are giving analysis. A set of data is coming and we are applying any one kind of theory. Then again, we are collecting data and we are applying another kind of theory. And then we come to a conclusion after the completing all the chapters. In the findings, we try to analyze all these theories together. And that becomes a composite presentation of my research. So coding process, which I was mentioning, which Strauss has given this coding formation, how to codify the social science research using grounded theory. What are the code? Three coding system Strauss has highlighted. One is open coding. Second one, axial coding. Then selective coding. What is open coding? Identifying key themes and concepts, which I was mentioning. All the isms are ideology. Okay, starting from Marxism, colonialism, post-structuralism, structuralism, all these isms, whatever we study in our life, all are actually open coding system. They are talking about certain themes, some ideas. When we talk about isms like feminism, any kind of ism incorporates three things. One is the concept, on what we are trying to write our ideas. That is one particular theme. Like for colonialism, colony. For imperialism, empire. For mercantilism, mercantile approach. For capitalism, capital. Industrialism, industry. So like that, every ism, they are having one particular theme. And on that particular theme, different scholars have given their arguments. So those arguments are actually the thematic representation and the movements. Whatever movements happen. For communism, we had movement. For socialism, we had movement. So all kinds of movements are actually activities. So these activities and movements, they are coming under this open coding thing. So themes and concepts, whatever we learn in our social sciences, all of them, they are having a code. So these are particular of open coding, elements of code, all these themes and concepts. I will show you a structure, I think, in my next slides. So then you can get a clear idea. So axial coding is another thing, relationship between different categories. Categories are formed. Different categories are also very significant in social sciences. Category means how and on what basis you are doing, formulating your participants. Okay, what is the meaning of participants? Means those people who are going for interview or you are going to observe. If you are willing to observe a particular society, particular community, particular group of people, they are actually, you formulate certain criteria to select a particular community, category, particular area, particular country, particular idea, particular concept. So on the basis of that, you try to do your research. So through open coding, you decided your themes, concepts, and categories. And to axial coding, you try to understand the relationship between these themes, concepts, and categories. Then the selective coding, integrating core themes into a theoretical framework. So all the core themes are studied, all the data are analyzed, and then we are trying to formulate a theoretical framework in grounded theory. So that is very significant. And constant comparative methods are used for coming to a conclusion. Comparative methods means from different theories as we are using, interdisciplinary. From statistical analysis, we are using from statistics. For political analysis, we are using from political science. International relations, we are taking help from international relations theories. Then all together, one holistic approach we are developing. And through that, we are developing a theoretical framework. So always we compare different theories, different methods to come to our original conclusion to develop a grounded theory. Memo writing is very important here. Memo writing means when we observe certain things, when we have a questionnaire, we conduct some interview, how we analyze note, everyday note is very significant for a scholar to keep. Because on the basis of the context, on the basis of the time, and nature of economy, nature of polity, nature of governance, those categories, themes, and concept might vary one time period to another time period. Pre-COVID and post-COVID concepts are completely different. Pre-COVID and post-COVID education system completely transformed. Pre-COVID and post-COVID online transactions, economic, commercial transaction, e-commerce. So everything transformed. So within 2 decades, not even 2 decades, so much changes could happen in our social science research. So social science research is not constant, always changing. So that variations, that flexibility is very much significant benefit for using grounded theory in our research. Very significant. So if you see whatever we discuss, if you try to understand it through this diagram, you can understand collection of data, code similar concepts, from concept into categories, generate a theory, verify data in the field. So like that, it's just like a circle. It is roaming. So data collection, then coding and coding of the concepts, categories and themes, which I was mentioning, theme, categories, and concept. These are the 3 important aspects we have to remember while applying the grounded theory. Concept into categories, generate theory, verify data in the field. So that is the way things are moving in grounded theory approach. See this structure there, you can understand what we are talking about. So these are the data. Then we, on the basis of the concept, we put the data into different concept coding. After the conceptual categorization, we try to form different categories. So core category, then subcategories are also there. From that categories, we try to understand the relation and how to understand the relation through theories. And that is incorporated in thesis. So first is different kinds of data. Data will be categorized into concepts as coding, open coding, which Strauss has highlighted. Then all the concepts will be transformed into categories. From the categories, you are trying to understand the relationship and you are trying to understand the thesis, the concepts. So themes and concepts and their relationship are developing through theories, and they are developing the properties of your thesis. So like that, grounded theory is working. So in a nutshell, as we have discussed already, what is grounded theory? This is the easiest way I thought that it can be actually conveyed to you, because there are many books, there are many materials available related to grounded theory, but sometimes you find it a little confusing. But if you try to clear your concept, or just try to understand three things. One is that our data will be categorized into different concepts, and different concepts will be categorized according to our need of the research. Then it will be analyzed and made into a theory with the analysis of different theories and coming to a conclusion in the form of our findings in our thesis. So this is all about grounded theory. Now, I think going to phenomenology. Phenomenology is very popular and appreciated, particularly in literature, in different isms which I was mentioning. So phenomenology is very integral part of art appreciation. If you are trying to appreciate something, you need to know the idea of phenomenology. So phenomenology, logos and phenomenon. So like that, these are the two important words, and how we are utilizing in our research, that will be discussed in the next section. So just like our grounded theory, I kept the goal, method and examples before you. What is the goal? Systematic yet flexible process to capture the depth of human experiences. Human experiences becomes very much important. How you experience a particular event, personality, incident, geographical area, political event, cultural performance, art, painting, drama, even a particular dress like a sari, beautiful sari, how you are appreciating that. Okay, how you are appreciating a particular painting, how you are appreciating a particular movie, literature. So all these approaches varies from one human being, one individual to another individual. So our experiences actually makes us different. Okay, just like all our fingerprints are different, our experiences are also different. Our feelings are different. Some people like certain things, some people dislike the same thing. So these kinds of our aesthetics, our feelings, our emotions, everything individually, if what a research scholar is feeling and what the participants, that means the that particular community or the people you are interviewing and you are working on that particular theme, you have to understand. So that is actually human experiences become very much important in phenomenology. So in-depth interviews, observations, personal narratives are very much important. Biographies, autobiographies plays a very significant role for this kind of research. Like if we want to understand Indian political system, so you will be in phenomenological perspective research, you will be reading all the political leaders' autobiography, Hitler's autobiography. Okay, so Gandhi's autobiography. These are so much popular because we try to understand their mind through their writings. Okay, Nehru's discovery of India. Discovery of India means how Nehru is perceiving India. From his writing, we try to understand. So different people, how they are perceiving their life through their writings, letters. We try to understand letters to understand the mind of that particular person. Okay, so these approaches are very much significant in phenomenology. Human experience is the key word in phenomenology. For example, grief. In psychology, experience of grief, how sadness human beings are experiencing. So if we try to do a research that from 18 to 40, this age group, different places, how they are receiving the concept of sadness and how they are reacting through their after having some incident where they became sad. So grief, concept of grief, if we want to do research, this kind of phenomenological research method helps us a lot to overcome the issues. As I said, individual experiences become important. Then in education field, first generation college student experience. Because first generation means the first time from a family, a person is attending a higher education institution. That is important. Then migration studies, the sense of belonging among refugees. The concept of refugee itself, the definition of refugee means a person who is not having a state of its own. So the concept of refugee and their identity, how they are feeling. So for a person like all of us Indians or a particular country, we are having the Aadhaar card, we are having the identity tools for our identity. For us, we will not understand how they are conditioned, their insecurity, their problems are completely different and only felt by themselves. That cannot be understood from outside. So we are only observer. We are observing them on the basis of their experiences. So when we conduct this kind of social science research, we try to record their experiences. We try to understand from their perspective. They are my biases, my understanding. If we try to write in my thesis, that will not be a proper approach to write about themselves, write about their identities. It's better that their perspective we write down. So for that also, we are having different theories given by different psychologists, given by different political analysts. They have given certain formats, how to understand their identity crisis. So these are some of the experiences, women's experience as motherhood. So as a mother, women, how they are facing their conditions, their mental condition, their physical condition, how it is transforming, their economic condition, their cultural context, everything becomes very much important, and experiential ideas becoming very much significant. So that's why phenomenology is a very vast approach where we try to understand all the inner feelings. We try to understand the mind and soul instead of the reality, what is visible in naked eye. So sometimes what we see, that is not the truth. So to understand the inner truths, human experiences are very much important, significant. So let's proceed. So key features of phenomenology, if we try to understand, Levensfeld given the most important significant approach for phenomenology. He said that lived experiences are most important phenomenon. Individual experiences are most important aspect in life. So we have to give importance for our living experiences. Experiences becomes again very important. Then bracketing or epoch making. Bracketing means some focus should be there related to their experiences. Focus means for 10 years, what was your expense, or within your adulthood. So some categories or some limitation should be there. Some focus, some bracketing is necessary. That then only it will be effective, because it cannot be without bracket. So then from person to universe, that connection we cannot come. In philosophy, those kinds of approaches are there. But in social sciences, excluding philosophy, so philosophy sometimes it is called as humanities. In literature also sometimes it is called like that, because they are beyond. It's very difficult to bracket these two disciplines, particularly philosophy and literature. Very difficult to bracket them. But in social sciences, what we are talking about in psychology, history, political science, economics, sociology, all these social sciences, we can bracket them. We need to bracket it, then only it will be more effective. So phenomenology bracketing is very significant. Thick description is important. Capture of richness and depth of experiences is very much important. Intentionality. What is your intention? What is your emphasis? What are your hypotheses? Now, this word becomes very much important. Hypothesis means before starting the research, we try to, after a general reading, when we formulate certain ideas, certain concepts, those concepts will might prove wrong or might prove correct at the time of completion of my research. But before starting, when we develop our synopsis, we try to write down some statements. That is actually hypothesis. So with that hypothesis, we start a research, and by end of it, we try to judge the hypothesis that it is correct or wrong. So that is expected from your findings. When you write your finding chapters, you write that. So emphasis on which perspective will be doing your research, that should be very clear. Then only phenomenological research will be very much important, and it will be useful. So essence of experience, as I explained many times, that phenomenology is connected with experience. So identify common themes and essential structures for that particular essence of experience. That is also important. So more explanation. What is a phenomenon? A phenomenon is the appreciation of an object or event or condition in perception. What is phenomenology? The way in which persons come to understand objects, events by consciously experiencing them. So conscious experiences, logical thinking, cognitive thinking, and experience becomes very much important in phenomenology. Two types of phenomenology approaches are developed. One is Husserlian approach, that is actually descriptive phenomenology. Focus on pure description of experiences using bracketing, which I mentioned just now. That bracketing means some criteria should be there. It should be limited to certain perspective. Then, and Heidegger was a very important philosopher. Husserlian and Husserlian approach and Heideggerian approach. These two approaches are significant. I think all the two common names are there: hermeneutics and heuristics. Heuristics and hermeneutics, these are the two approaches by which we try to understand a problem in our academic world. So hermeneutics is actually the interpretative approach. How do you interpret? And heuristic is actually your descriptive approach, how you can describe, how you can narrate a particular kind of phenomenon. So one is descriptive phenomenology, another one is interpretative phenomenology. Both are connected with each other. It is interpretation, that is bracketing, that is describing on a particular focus area, emphasizing on a particular focus area. So when we do phenomenological research, the framework is like that: articulating an experiential phenomenon of interest for study, gathering descriptions of others' experiences that are concrete occasions of the phenomena, so others' experiences and their impact, then intuiting and testing the meaning of the experience. Intuiting means imagining, apprehending certain things, assuming something. So that assumptions are there. So we try to intuitively, we try to imagine certain situation that might happen, that might not happen. So intuition and testing, these are very important. Intuition means how you feel from inside, gut feeling. That is actually our intuition, what we are feeling from inside while doing research. So that kind of approaches we should keep in phenomenology. Writing a digested understanding that cares for different readers and purposes. So ultimate purpose of research is to develop a thesis. Thesis is nothing but a written matter. So whatever theory you do, whatever fieldwork you do, whatever you kind of interviews you are conducting, actually you are trying to develop a writing material, written materials with proper footnote, with proper referencing, with proper theory and their applications. So that is the purpose. So writing a digested understanding, digested means already experimented, already understood understanding, or that cares for different readers and purposes. It should be acceptable to readers. That is also important, because it is understood that while you are joining for a PhD, you will be writing something. So you will be writing books, you will be writing articles. So that readers should perceive it properly. Readers should understand what you are writing. So if they don't understand, it should be understandable to the readers also, and it should be accepted by the academicians. Two approaches are there. accepted in the academic field, and it should be accepted by the general public or readers who is willing to read about a particular theme. So to read for our sense of understanding, determination of our topic, establishing meaning, transformation of meaning, determination of structure of the thesis. That is also very important. So phenomenology is very much particular about this kind of format. It follows that empirical phenomenological research framework. This is the exact framework. If you try to follow this framework, you can apply it in your writing thesis. And it is very much important for social scientists to understand feelings, to understand the ethical approach, to understand the to understand the different approaches, political, social, cultural context, and the time factor is also important. In which time, what you are trying to say, what you are trying to represent through your thesis, that is also very much important. So this is these are the different steps phenomenology follow: collecting and descripting phenomenological data, reading whole description, breaking description into meaning units, transforming meaning units, identify the essential structure of the phenomena, integrating features into essential structures of phenomena. So that is actually the 6 steps phenomenology is following for developing its theory. So phenomenological research is significant in this way. And if you see this diagram, worldview becomes important. Again, interdisciplinary approach is essential, and interaction between different groups of scholars, different groups of people, participants are also necessary, because the worldview is very much larger. Context is larger. Canvas is larger. So that should be the approach. Different disciplines, we can borrow our format of representation, format of analysis, format of understanding of a particular phenomena. So if you see these paintings, these are the ideal example of application of phenomenology in art. It became very significant during the 1970s, 80s. If you see the theme of these paintings, you can see that the clocks, these are melting. So time is actually changing, transforming, fluid. So fluidity of time has been expressed in these paintings by Salvador Dali, one of the very famous painters of that particular time. They utilize this kind of existentialism, experiential representation of their ideas through these kind of painting. In the next painting also you can see it is talking about the liberation of the soul. Body and soul, body, mind and soul, as these aspects, philosophical aspects, are becoming very much important and getting reflected in the drawings of different artists we could identify. And that became applicable. Applications of these concepts can be visible in the academic writing of this particular time. The 70s, 1970s, 80s, different books are getting published applying phenomenological research. And that becomes crucial because inclusiveness, the concept of inclusivity, the concept of diversity, the concept of equal rights, these are coming during this particular time period. So phenomenology plays a very crucial role in combining all this. So phenomenon-based learning is getting promoted now in present world, even after COVID world in education. Different approaches are done through phenomenological based learning. So phenomenological based learning, it involves the study of complex phenomena in their real world context, promoting critical thinking, problem solving and collaboration skill among students. So this quote unquote line, if you see the line, this is actually reflecting in our new education policy, which is getting actually getting applied in all over India. So these are now people are applying, but it's the concept of phenomenology coming from many long years. And that time scholars, they developed about this approach. So now this approach is coming back again for the application of social sciences. So in future, it will be again, it is reviving. So revival of phenomenology happened after COVID once again. So Now, our final, another method which I want to discuss, that is case study methods. Most common, easily understood, that different case studies we develop to come to the concluding part of our thesis for our findings. Case studies, for doing research, some case studies are already selected that on the special reference to this particular approach, special reference to this particular period, special reference to this particular nation, special reference to this particular community or that particular refugee. So like that, case study methods are applicable. Case studies are selected and we try to gather data, we try to analyze those data, and we try to come to a conclusion on the basis of those data. That is case study method. So just like other two methods, I have given this slide for your very basic understanding and clear understanding of what it is. So to explore complex phenomena within real life context, that is the goal of case study. And what is the method? In-depth investigation of a single case or multiple cases over time. So in-depth investigations are done of a single case or multiple cases over time through this kind of case study method. So just like examples which we discussed for grounded theory and phenomenology, caste system and social mobility in India. So India is the case. Okay, this is the context. So caste system and mobility, social mobility, we are trying to understand, focusing on India. Then the Green Revolution in India. Green Revolution. Green Revolution is particularly on context of economy, context of our economic policies, context of our agricultural development, agricultural inventions. All these are connected with this particular theme, focusing on India. The demonetization of 2016, that is an example. Chipko movement, environmental movement. So education, the midday meal scheme. So it is very specific. One particular case we are taking as an example, and we do deep study for that particular case. And we try to come to a conclusion. We try to come to a conclusion comparing sometimes and by doing generalization also. Two procedures are important. And then Nirvaya case and women's safety issues. So these are all case specific. Particular case we are selecting and we are working on it for a detailed discussion on that particular area. So what are the key features of it? In-depth exploration, real life context, multiple data sources, flexibility, holistic approach. So by in-depth exploration, the focus is given understanding how and why a phenomena is occurring. Real life context studies individuals, groups, organizations, or event in their natural context. Multiple data sources are also used. What are the data sources? Interviews, observations, different documents, archival records are used in this method. Flexibility, it can be descriptive, it can be explanatory. Somebody is telling something? Yeah.
You can mute her, Pallavi ma'am.
Okay, I think by mistake. Okay, so holistic approach is also
from
there.
your end now, you can mute them. The one who's
Yes,
speaking,
Rajeshwar, I cannot hear you clearly.
From your side, you can mute them if they are unmuted. You have that right, your host.
Shall I stop? Okay. I think only 2-3 sites are remaining. I'll just complete. Within 5 minutes.
You continue, yeah.
Yeah. Within 5 minutes, I will close. So there are different types of case studies when we do research. So you can see exploratory case study, descriptive, explanatory, intrinsic, instrumental, and multiple case studies are there. So any kind of, maybe we can use multiple approaches, multiple case study methods, and sometimes we can focus on a particular method. Like exploratory method means which is exploring. The moment you get data, while data collection, you are exploring certain perspectives which are not explored before. Okay, and you are open to any kind of input from theoretical perspective. That is also important. And descriptive, explanatory, these are very easily understood. So I am not going into detail for that. And then see this structure. This is very important. So functioning of case study method, how it is happening. While from getting started to completing the research. So this is the particular structure. If you follow this format, these are the format we are getting from theories. So without studying theory, we don't get these kind of formats. These formats are actually easy formulas to conduct social science research, because social science research, as I said, sometimes it is very much subjective. So sometimes it is very confusing. So with these models only, we can stream down, we can bracket them, and we can analyze their data in our research. First is getting started. Definition of research question. We start with that. What is my objective? What is my emphasis to do the research? Then select cases. We select some of the cases. Then we craft instruments and protocols. We decide that what multiple data collection methods we try to, what are the methods I'll be applying in my research. So that is actually while writing synopsis, we try to understand what can be useful for my research. Then entering the field, overlap data collection analysis, including field notes, flexible opportunistic collection methods are also there, flexibility is there. Sometimes we get a little confused. We try to get help from our friends, our supervisor. We try to get help from our colleagues. Then we try to come to a conclusion. Then analyzing data within case analysis, cross case analysis pattern searching is also important. How we can do the constant comparison is also very much important for doing case study method. Then shaping hypothesis, enfolding literature, whatever existing literature and how others have utilized this thing, that is also important. And reaching closer, theoretical saturation when possible. So when we are coming, we are actually narrowing down our theoretical perspective. So through that case study method, we understand this. So this structure is very significant and helpful for developing our findings, starting from hypothesis to our findings, how to connect it in our thesis and represent it effectively. That is very important. So advantages and disadvantages of case study research. Already I explained. What are the disadvantages? I will just highlight now. Case study research often lack generalizability due to its focus on a specific instance. So if we are too much focusing on a particular case study, sometimes our research may be a little faulty, and it may be proved not that much sampling. It depends on our sampling, how many people we are incorporating. So we should be very particular about that. So broader population, smaller population, it varies from one person to another. And generalization, statistical significance across, that is also important. Statistical clarity also should be there. So these are some of the aspects we wanted to discuss. Now, my concluding remark, I want to say that while doing research, in particularly social sciences, we have to keep in mind that human beings are a combination of mind, soul, and body. So our feelings, concepts, categories, themes, isms, political ideologies, everything actually should be considered without any bias. That is very important. Biases, political bias, economic bias, family bias, community biases are hampering our social science research. That's why some of the social science subjects, they are lacking relevance. I don't want to highlight that those particular subjects, but they are facing problem because of our biases. So biases we should overcome. That's why our subconsciously or consciously thinking, reasoning, choices, beliefs, attitude, emotions, these are very much important. Body, mind, and soul should be balanced. Then only we can develop a very good social science research. And as you know, our Albert Einstein used to say that you can't solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. So solving problem, you need to apply different methods. That's why we discussed about grounded theory. We discussed about phenomenology and case study methods. Whatever methods will be applicable to come to my conclusion. My problem, my thesis is actually, in academic language, we call it a problem. Okay, so to solve your problem, questions. So the questions of your research, you to find some solutions. So in which way you will be finding your solution, that depends on your methods and your approach. Okay, so again, soul, mind, and body should combine spirit, matter, and other approaches. That is very much significant. So these are the references very important references for understanding qualitative research methods. So if you want to take it, I already shared my PPT with Rajesh sir. I think if you want, it can be shared with you. And thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you,
yes, Rajesh sir.
Dr. Polen, ma'am. Thank you very much. Indeed, the learners, the new learners, I think the faculties must be understanding, but the new learners have to understand that initially we used to have a single track researchers, but today we can make our researches more beautiful by combining the methods of both kind of studies, qualitative and quantitative. As many commerce student, for example, suppose you are studying healthcare or you are studying consumer behavior, there also you can apply focus studies, of qualitative study. You can uh, you can have a group of people, experts, you can talk to them, record them, and you can then write their opinion on that. So I mean to say today mixed methods are in force, and you must apply it for your research papers and your PhD thesis. So Dr. Pallavi ma'am, it was very fantastic. And one thing I observed since last year, your PPTs are very aesthetic. Mainly, we do PPTs with just, lines and theory part, but your PPTs are very beautiful and very aesthetic. And that is what, it makes it more interesting. So thank you very much for explaining them all qualitative study methods. And I sincerely thank on behalf of our college, Anjumul Islam's AP College, our principal, and entire college, I thank you. And I hope learners have well taken up this study. I'll be sharing with them this PPT. I think you are the first faculty who allowed to share the PPT, so I shall be sharing with them today itself.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much, because of your initiatives, we are really proud of you, and we know how difficult it is. So you are doing it very well. And I think you ask your scholars or participants if they want to communicate with me. I am always there. My contact number and I think my email ID I shared in the slide. So if they want to ask any question, definitely they can come to me, because it is very case specific. So there are specific questions I couldn't deal, because it is not possible to deal with all these qualitative thing in one class. So if they want to communicate with me, they are always welcome. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
And they must have heard that you have got number of fellowships. So there's a lot to learn from you. I'll be sharing with them PPT. If they have any doubt, they can contact you and they can enrich themselves. So thanks for joining. Thanks for accepting invitation. And I want that only, many attending. I'm happy this time more than 80, 90, up to 100 they're attending and they're trying to learn. That shows we are having, some kind of, even the research change now. That's a good sign. So with this, I would like to thank you again and thanks all the participants. I have shared a feedback link. Please fill it without fail, because the feedback is very important. I think the second link feedback is yet to be filled by many. I'm sharing one more time. Please fill it. Before leaving the group, please fill the feedback form for Dr. Pallavi ma'am. I've shared again. You can see now. Just wait. I think I shared with some private group. I'm sharing now. Okay, I've shared again. Please fill it. Fill it. Yeah. So thank you, ma'am. And I wish in coming future, again, you will be with us with the new topics and new research dimensions.
Anytime. Pleasure is mine. Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care of your health. Take care of your health.
Ma'am. Take care.
See you.
Take care. Thank you. They all are feeling, so I'll wait for 5 minutes. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Bye. Have a nice day. All of you fill and then you leave the group. I'm waiting for. Okay. Feedback form is must.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah.